Filipinos do not realize that Filipino culture is one of the greatest, I'm very serious about it.
Very
One of
serious.
the Filipino languages are the most highly relational of all the Austronesian languages.
Wow.
They brought these languages even to the west in Madagascar, Africa. That's why if you go to
Wow.
Madagascar, Africa, they speak a language similar to Ilocano, Tagalog, Kapampangan.
Wow,
No?
I had no
They
idea.
already-
What? I was shocked by the fact that Tagalog is actually the fourth most spoken language in the US. What's up, Philippines? Welcome back to another reaction video with your host Nelly. Super happy to see your smiling faces today. I am reacting to a video from a channel that I already reacted to. Filipino professor reveals the genius of the Filipino, and we already had a video of this channel where we had somebody who was a little bit disconnected from his heritage. The video will pop up here in case you missed it, and the story behind it was just so beautiful. It gave me goosebumps, and I think you guys enjoyed it as well according to the comments. So yeah, I thought, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper because this channel really brings up the Filipino heritage and highlights what is it that Filipinos makes Filipinos. So today we're going to find out. Before we do, please subscribe. If I put a smile on your face, if you have tuned into this channel quite a few times already, please do me a favor and subscribe. It's free, and hopefully I learned something new today, you learned something new today, and you have something to talk about on your next chit chat. Without further ado, let's go.
Filipinos do not realize that Filipino culture is one of the greatest, I'm very serious about it. One of the greatest in the world.
Very serious. Nice intro.
I am Felipe Delian Jr. I have been studying Philippine culture since the 60s.
Wow.
I've been to many parts of the Philippines trying to understand who we are and understand how Filipinos can be their better selves. At the
Wow,
very
love
core,
that.
Filipinos are very highly relational people,
Very
wanting to
true.
connect all kinds of people in all levels, young and old.
This is something that I have in common with Filipinos. One of my core values is to connect. And I feel the most fulfilled when I connect with people, when I connect with cultures, no matter where I travel. I do love being around my friends. I do love making new friends and having quality moments. So in that case, I am Filipino by heart.
All, whether you are educated or not, from the poorest to the richest, Filipinos would like to bring people together. That's the very core
Very
of
true.
Filipino culture. A high degree of relationality, connectivity. This has to do with the philosophy of Kapwa. Kapwa means the other person is also yourself. Filipinos believe that they have
Wow.
no separate
Kapwa.
existence. They're all one. That's the meaning of Kapwa. Every person's responsibility is not only to himself, but to
And that is why we had the slogan during the pandemic that said, "We are one." Do you remember? That was like the key phrase everywhere. So,
others.
explains a lot.
That's why, according to Claude Tayag, a culinary expert, our culture has no recipe for a single person. It's always a recipe for 6 to 10 people because we expect food to
True.
be shared. That's why when you chance upon the
Very
family
true.
is having dinner, you will always be invited to share the dinner with them. In a fiesta, even if you are not invited, you enter any house where there is food. Pakikipagkapwa is the basis of this because in an individualistic culture, a person feels separate from others and therefore
Yeah.
there's no natural responsibility for everyone to serve. In a materialistic culture where people are confined to their physical selves, you don't see yourself connected to others. Because connectedness has to do
True.
with a spiritual belief, no? That the Spirit of God connects us all to one another. So this is the very essence of Filipino culture. A culture.
Very nice. Yeah, I agree with the spiritual part. Being that I have experienced both the Western world and Asia, or like Southeast Asia in particular, the Philippines, there is this spirit of like togetherness. And that is something that I really love and appreciate. And it grounded me to a level that I cannot explain. So that's one of my favorite Filipino traits.
A culture of sharing. A culture that would like to bring people together. Our language has been with us since around 2,500 years ago. We
Wow.
were already Filipinos, even though we were not called Filipinos at that time. We were Austronesians. All our
Austronesians,
languages
yes.
came from
Did
one
a video
island
about
in
that.
Taiwan. And it's not Chinese, it's a Southeast Asian archipelago. A Southeast Asian place with at least 9 ethnic groups. And one ethnic group there was our ancestors. This ethnic group went down from Taiwan to Batanes, to the rest of Luzon, down to the Visayas, Mindanao, and Indonesia, Malaysia. So the languages of Indonesia and Malaysia came from us. We
Wow.
wrote this language.
Okay, I didn't know that, but there are some similarities. I figured it out when I traveled to Indonesia. I was like, oh, okay, there are really some similarities with the Filipino language, which now makes sense to me.
To the Pacific, Micronesia, Melanesia, Polynesia, as far as Easter Island and Hawaii. And they
Wow.
brought these languages even to the west in Madagascar, Africa. That's why if you go
Wow.
to Madagascar, Africa, they speak a language similar to Ilocano, Tagalog, Kapampangan. It's called Malagasy. And that time,
Wow,
no,
I had no
they were
idea.
really
What?
highly relational because our language shaped us.
Speaking of language, if you missed that video, I was shocked by the fact that Tagalog is actually the fourth most spoken language in the US. I did a video about it. If you missed it, it's here. Definitely worth watching because they are offering university courses for Tagalog now. I'm like, what?
Shape
Crazy.
our language, and the language in turn shapes us. Filipino languages are the most highly relational of all the Austronesian languages. We have the highest number of conjugations. How many conjugations are possible in English? The word to eat. Eat, eating, ate, eaten. What else? I suppose you can have at most 12 conjugations of one word or one verb in English, but not more than 12. What about kain? The Tagalog word for eat. In less than an hour, you can come up with 100 conjugations of kain.
Oh, wow,
Kain na tayo,
that's crazy.
magkain, nagsikain, napakain, palakain, ikain mo ko, nagkainan. So many, no? So what does that mean?
Wow.
That means we are highly relational. From the very beginning, we're already highly relational. Because every conjugation is a kind of relationship. Magsikain tayo, all of us, let's go together and eat, no? O ikain mo ko, do the eating for me. That's another kind of relation, no?
That's so
Napakain.
sweet.
Well, I was compelled to eat because others were eating. Oh, that's another kind of relation. That's every conjugation is a relationship. Also, another thing, look at our languages. It has very fine nuances for relationships. I don't know of any single word in English that refers to a group action. A verb like
Oh.
magsilabas. Magsilabas. All of you go out. O magkainan tayo. Together, let's eat. Or I don't know any word in English.
Yeah.
Any verb in English that refers to a collective action. It's collective action. That means
That's
it's
true.
highly
I never thought
relational.
about that.
And that's in the language. So much in the language. Nagkainisan, magkasing ganda, magkasing pangit. When you're magkasing ganda, you're equally beautiful. Magkasing pangit, you're equally ugly. There's no translation in English. These are verbs, adjectives that are mutually reciprocal, connecting people to one another. There's none of that in English as far as I know. So
Wow.
we can see our
Very
relationality
interesting so far.
in our language, but we can also see it in our geography. People say that we're a divided country because we're an archipelago, but the truth is really different. People
Very
who
different,
live
yeah.
in a landmass rather than an archipelago will even be more divided if this landmass is so mountainous. A mountainous area that is just one landmass is where people will be so extremely divided. Because it's mountains that divide. How can you easily go from one side of the mountain to the other side of the mountain? It might take you days before you can go to the other side. But people in a short time learn to cross from one island to the other through water.
True. Very true,
Especially
yeah.
because of our origin from Taiwan, no? We really cross islands. And our ancient prowess in maritime navigation really made us very, very skilled in water. The Filipinos, all over the world, were master navigators on the sea.
Navigators of the sea,
So, if
yeah.
you go to the Philippines,
Yeah, I traveled to over 50 provinces in the Philippines, and I can say that although some of the parts are very different, the togetherness, like you can feel it everywhere in the Philippines.
you will find that any two islands separated by water will speak the same language because we are connected by water and divided by mountains. Look at Negros. Negros is divided by Mount Canlaon. The side that faces Iloilo speaks Ilonggo. The side that faces Cebu speaks Cebuano. Masbate, the one that
True.
faces Leyte Samar speaks Waray. The one that faces Bicol
I've been there
speaks
too.
Bicolano, and so on. This is true
Beautiful.
anywhere in the country. If two islands are separated by water, they are more unified. So it's not true that we are divided because we're in an archipelago. In fact, we are more united because of being an archipelago.
Wow.
And so, because of
Honestly, like, I wish I would have a grandpa like him who would just sit with me and explain everything to me and tell these stories. He seems to be so knowledgeable and interesting. Yeah, would really love
our
that.
highly relational culture, our creative genius was able to flourish within the traditional Filipino cultures. And that's because in traditional cultures, the sense of community is very, very strong. This is the norm in all of our traditional societies. If there is a very strong sense of community, you feel more relaxed. You don't feel any tension, no? Now, the more relaxed you are, the more open you are, the more you are you, the more you can bring out who you really are. You become more expressive. You become more artistic. You become a natural artist. That's why in our traditional cultures, everybody is an artist, almost no exception.
Wow.
No matter what the work is of a person, you can be sure that he's doing some kind of art. Why? Because the more close you are to one another, the more you would like to understand and do what others can do. If you are
That's
very
very
close to the
sweet.
farmer, you will learn farming. If you are very close to the carpenter, you will learn carpentry. If you are very close to the arbolario, you will learn traditional medicine. If you are close to your mother, you will learn how she cooks. So closeness to one another makes you learn so many things as you grow up. This is the reason why the Filipinos are so versatile, multi-talented, simply because
Very
when you
true.
are
Never saw
one
it
with
like
the
that.
community and you like to relate to everybody, you have to know what others are doing. How can you be so close if you are only a very narrow specialist? For example, I can cite the example of Samaon Sulaiman, who was one of the awardees for the National Living Treasures Award in the Philippines called Manlilikha ng Bayan. Well, just like any male in Maguindanao society or even female, almost anybody can play the kutiapi. But Samaon Sulaiman happened to be the best. But do you know that he is not only the best in that instrument, he is also the favorite barber in his town. And also a Muslim imam or priest.
Wow.
But he was also a very good farmer. Because he grew up in such an environment where everybody is multi-skilled. And if you are really so relaxed, you can easily learn other skills. Because
Very
you will have no
true.
difficulty learning anything if you are doing it
Very
in a spirit
inspiring.
of play. In a spirit of play, everything becomes so easy. That's the reason, no? Our sense of community, which makes us very multi-talented.
Wow, wow, wow. Love that.
My Filipino dream is for Filipinos to be educated in their culture. Filipinos do not realize that Filipino culture is one of the greatest in the world because of the philosophy of Kapwa. If we are one, we have a shared responsibility for one another.
It's very
It's a very
sweet.
profound philosophy. A shared responsibility. It's not dog-eat-dog attitude. It's not survival of the fittest. It's not ruthless competition. It's cooperation, collaboration, harmony. You know how the world has survived? How humanity has
It's like the
survived?
Baniyahan,
According to
I think
anthropology, we have
it's called.
survived because of cooperation rather than competition. That's the way of life. If there's no harmony on earth, no species would have survived. We have to emphasize that. That our culture is based on cooperation, harmony, bayanihan, doing things together for the
Bayanihan, yeah.
common good. This is who Filipinos are, but Filipinos don't realize this. The more we realize it, the better for not only us, but the better for the world, because we can promote our culture everywhere. And we can be very proud of being Filipino. Now, the Filipinos are not very proud of who they are, simply because they don't know who they are. Secondly, I'd like Filipinos to discover how different we are from one another.
Yeah.
The first one is how we are one, no? But the second is our diversity. We have at least 131 languages. in
Very
this
true.
country.
It's so confusing. That's why I'm not speaking Tagalog, because every single province is speaking a different language. So I'm like, wow, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, I don't even understand when I switch to, a different province.
The society is, the more languages it has. A young society will not have its own languages. Singapore, Australia,
Very
Canada,
true.
they still use English or French because they are new societies. That means if we have 131 languages, that means we are a very old culture. We have at least 50,000
Old culture,
years
old souls. I
We
like
are a
old
new
souls.
nation, but we are a very old people. If we have 131 languages, that means we have so many different cultures. The basic subject that I wish Filipinos to learn, aside from the concept of Kapwa, how we are one, is how rich we are in terms of cultural diversity. Knowing all kinds of Filipinos and their cultural genius. This is the best way to make the Filipinos proud of themselves, because the more Filipinos know about Kapwa, and the more they know about this diversity, how rich they are, the more they will love the country, and they will no longer fight against one another. They will have a strong sense of identity.
Yeah.
They will know that all Filipinos are one.
Wow, wow, wow. Another inspiring inspiring video, please subscribe to their channel if you want to learn more. I believe that their content is really on point. It really gives me a deeper understanding of the Filipino history and the culture, and so many things make sense to me now. I lived there for many years and I felt it, but now I have the answer straight away. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think makes Filipinos Filipinos. If you want to see some travel content, please head over to my other channel, Nelly's Life, where I share some insights about my travels and I try different foods and I experience new cultures around the globe and in the Philippines, of course, as well. Yeah, that was it for today. I would say I'll see you guys next time here on